Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Samajnantimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8, Verse 41. Dharmartha kama mokshakhyam icchet shreya atmanah ekam hyeva hares tatra karanam pada sevanam. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, dharma, artha, kama, and at the end moksha, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Person of Godhead, for worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these. Even for achieving dharma, artha, kama, moksha, one has to do devotional service. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only with the sanction of the Supreme Person of Godhead can the demigods offer benedictions. Therefore, whenever any sacrifice is offered to a demigod, the Supreme Lord in the form of Narayana Shila or Salagrama Shila is put forward to observe the sacrifice. Actually, the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Narada Muni therefore advised that even for Dharma, Artha, Kama or Moksha, one should approach the Supreme Person of Godhead, offer prayers and ask for the fulfillment of one's desires at the lotus feet of the Lord. That is real intelligence. An intelligent person never goes to demigods to pray for anything. He goes directly to the Supreme Person of Godhead, who is the cause of all benediction. That is real intelligence. As Lord Shri Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actually religion. The real path of religion is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. For one who is actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. What does this mean? What does this mean? For one who is actually surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. So basically, the devotee just does bhakti. Of course, here there are different levels of maturity. On the highest platform, the devotee doesn't endeavor at all for economic development. Meaning he doesn't work for money. So he just does direct devotional service. And then Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. So Krishna will take care of him. And that is pure bhakti yoga. Then there is karma yoga, where there is karma. But that karma is done as a yoga, as an offering to Krishna. So there also there is no endeavor as such for economic development for self. If there is any economic development, then that is just mercy of Krishna and it is used in Krishna's service. So it's not the highest platform, but it is the next best platform. Then below that are the karmis who endeavor for economic development. The lowest platform is endeavoring for economic development for self. Next, higher platform is endeavoring for some maintenance, basically. That's all. And even that is used in Krishna service as much as possible. Not necessarily for betterment of economic situation. Highest platform is not even bothering about this. Just, just, just endeavoring in service of Krishna, depending on Krishna for livelihood also. A devotee engaged in service to the Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses. See, very, very important, powerful point. He is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses, meaning the senses are not satisfied, he is not disappointed. Okay, didn't get food, I'm not disappointed. Of course, Krishna doesn't let his devotee get into that kind of a situation. Uh, but for us, for example, oh, I didn't get the type of food I want. So these kind of things, right? So devotee, again, we have to note these things. Um, all these statements are there in Prabhupada's purports only. We are not reading from outside Prabhupada's purports. And Prabhupada is saying that devotee engaged in the service of the Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses. So, which basically means he doesn't have any expectation at all. So there is no dissatisfaction. Whatever comes, there is no disappointment. Whatever comes, he just accepts as Krishna's mercy. If he wants to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. So this also is very, very important. For somebody who is completely surrendered to Krishna, even by mistake, if he thinks of some sense gratification, not intentionally, maybe because of just, the vasanas, the mind is not 100% control. Even by chance, some thought comes to his mind and he doesn't negate it, meaning, okay, no, 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 this is not correct. Because maybe he didn't have time to think about it. It was just a passing thought. And he didn't deny it. Krishna fulfills it. So this is very, very dangerous because we will end up making Krishna work for our desire, as in do something for our desire. So here, this is the highest platform. Prabhupada is describing the highest platform of devotion. As far as liberation is concerned, any devotee fully engaged in the service of the Lord is already liberated. Therefore, there is no separate necessity for his liberation. So, dharma is anyway taken care. Artha and kama are also taken care. For a devotee who is engaged in devotional service, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, everything is taken care. So, he doesn't separately endeavor for artha. Then he is not bothered about kama. And if in case he even passingly thought about something to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. Narada Muni therefore advised Dhruva Maharaj to take shelter of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and engage himself in the way that his mother had advised, for that would help him fulfill his desire. In this verse, Narada Muni has especially stressed the devotion service of the Lord as the only way. In other words, even if one is full of material desires, Sarvakama, he can continue his devotional service to the Lord and all his desires will be fulfilled. Yeah, but this is a neophyte stage. This is a neophyte stage. And then as a devotee continues to practice bhakti, these desires will stop. And that is an indication of progress. These desires have to stop. So very, very, this should be our target. We should strive to get to this stage where we are not bothered about our economic development. We might be working, we might be not working. We are not bothered about economic development, and we are not disappointed about insatisfaction of senses. And generally, when there is disappointment in the satisfaction of senses, we then, we We hold others responsible, point fingers at them, saying that because of you this happened. All that basically means attached to satisfying senses. Uh, Detached or not bothered about satisfying senses, one senses. And that should be the state we should reach. At some stage, at least in our life, before giving up this body, we should reach that stage because that's not a very high platform. It's just like it's a Brahmabhuta stage, that's all. And that has to be reached earlier because that is the stage of Nishta. Then there is Asakti, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. Still four more stages after that. So it's not like some very exalted state for devotees. But for in our state of consciousness or advancement, this might all seem very high, exalted. But actually, it's not. Okay. 42. Tattata gaccha badram te yamunayas suchi punyam madhuvanam yatra sanidhyam nityadahare. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. Bhadram, Guru is wishing good fortune for the disciple. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvana. There be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who always lives there. Yeah, whenever we read these words, we can remember Madhuvana. So beautiful. Dhruva Tila is there. Area is so serene and beautiful, and we can actually feel Krishna's presence. And that place is so powerful. So it's saying just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Person of Godhead who always lives there. Actually, we are very fortunate once His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu. We had gone on a yatra with Dinabandhu Prabhu and still remember that very nice, devotee association katha in that in Madhuvan. So, um, so yeah, this is true about uh, all. I mean, Vrindavan overall, wherever we go in Vrindavan, Lord resides there. And um, so yeah, by just by going there, we get purified. Both Narada Muni and Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, advised Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Narada Muni is especially giving him directions how this worship of the Supreme Person can very quickly fructify. So now Narada Muni is exactly giving the process, the exact process. First he said, you offer devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Now he's saying how he should do, where he should do. He recommends that Dhruva Maharaj go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a forest of the name Madhuvana, and begin his meditation and worship there. Place of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy place of pilgrimage because these places are inhabited by great sages. This is one, that there are great sages, so we can hear from them and thereby approach the Supreme Lord. But Lord Krishna also says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. Yatra gayanti mad bhaktaha tatra tishtami narada. There are many places of pilgrimage in India, and especially prominent are Badri, Narayana, Dwaraka, Rameshwar, Jagannath Puri, Char Dham. Dham refers to a place where one can immediately contact the Supreme Lord. To go to Badri Narayana, one has to pass through Hardwar on the path to the Supreme Person of Godhead. Similarly, there are other holy places of pilgrimage such as Prayag, Mathura, and the topmost of them all is Vrindavan. Unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended that he live in such holy places and execute devotional service there. But an advanced devotee like Narada Muni, who is engaged in preaching work, can serve the Supreme Lord anywhere. Sometimes he even goes to the hellish planets. Hellish conditions do not affect Narada Muni because he is engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. So we can understand that we are expected to do this, like Narada Muni, engage in preaching work outside Vrindavan. And when we don't have preaching work, then we can go to Vrindavan. According to the statement of Narada Muni, Madhuvana, which is still existing in Vrindavan area in the district of Mathura, is the most sacred place. Many saintly persons still live there and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. There are 12 forests in the area of Vrindavan, and Madhuvan is one of them. Pilgrims from all parts of India assemble together and visit all 12 of these forests. There are 5 forests on the eastern bank of Yamuna, which is Bhadra, Bilva, Lauha, Bandira, and Maha. 5 forests: Bhadra, Bilva, Lauha, Bandira, and Maha. On the western side, there are 7: Madhu, Tala, Kumuda, Bahula, Kamya, Khadira, Vrunda. In those 12 forests, there are different ghatas or bathing places. They are listed as follows: Abhimukta, Adhirudha, Guhyatirtha, Prayagatirtha, Kanakhala, Indukatirtha, Suryatirtha, Vataswami, Dhruva Ghata. Dhruva Ghata, where there are many nice trees of forests and flowers, is famous because Dhruva Maharaj meditated and underwent severe penances and austerities there in an elevated spot. Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Buddha Tirtha, Gokarna, Krishna Ganga, Vaikuntha, Asikunda, Chatu Samudrika Kupa, Akrura Tirtha. When Krishna and Balaram were going to Mathura in the chariot driven by Akrura, all of them took bath in this ghata. Yagnika Viprasthana, Kubja Stupa, Rangasthala, Manchasthala. Might be Sthala only, I think. Rangasthala, Manchasthala. Yeah. Or this can be Rangasthana, one of them. Malla Yuddha Sthana and Dashashwamedha Ghat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there. Actually went to all. Yeah, so these things are, just by hearing about them, we get purified. So, Bhadra, Bilva, Lauha, Bandira, Maha, Madhu, Tala, Kumuda, Bahula, Kamya, Khadira, Vrunda. So 12 forests, and all of them, and any part of Vrindavan, Vrajadham, is the most dear to Lord Krishna. So Gaudiya Vaishnavas should at least, their focus should be only 2 places, really: Mayapur and Vrindavan. There's actually no need to go anywhere else. Of course, Jagannath Puri also, yeah. Mayapur, Jagannath Puri, and Vrindavan. Initially, we recommend devotees to go to Mayapur, because devotees who go to Vrindavan can end up in doing offenses, especially towards Brajavasis, towards the Brajadham itself. For example, we look at the Dham and say how dirty it is, then it's an offense. So generally, we recommend people to go to Mayapur and get mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, Mayapur is non-different from Vrindavan. And then, maybe once we go to Mayapur, then 6 months, 8 months before the next yatra, our bhakti would have increased, our consciousness would have improved. And then with a very, very prayerful mood, one can go to Vrindavan. My Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, says that one should not be in Vrindavan for more than 3 days, because there's a high chance that we will offend because of our fallen condition. So we have to be very, very careful, very careful. And it's so powerful. At the same time, it can create havoc in our devotional life. So we have to be very careful about this. But yeah, it's the best place to be. नात्वानुस्सवनं तस्मिन् कालिन्द्यासलिले शिवे कृत्वोचितानि निवसन् आत्मनः kalpitasanah. Nadmuni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana in a calm and quiet position. So this is Bhakti and Ashtanga Yoga combo. Mm. Hmm. So Yamuna, mm, you should take 3 baths daily. By taking bath in Yamuna, one gets Krishna Prema. So just by this action itself, one can make devotional progress. After bathing, you should perform necessary regulative principles of Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana. It appears from the statement that Dhruva had already been instructed how to practice Ashtanga Yoga. This system is explained in our Bhagavad Gita in chapter called Dhyana Yoga. It is understood that in Ashtanga Yoga, one practices settling the mind and then concentrating it on the form of Lord Vishnu, as will be described in the following verses. It is clearly stated here that Ashtanga Yoga is not a bodily gymnastic exercise but a practice to concentrate the mind on the form of Vishnu. Before sitting on his asana, which is also described in Bhagavad Gita, one has to cleanse himself very nicely in clear or sacred water thrice daily. This is the standard for Brahmanas. The water of the Yamuna is naturally very clear and pure, and thus if anyone bathes there 3 times, undoubtedly, he will be very greatly purified externally. Narada Muni therefore instructed Dhruva Maharaj to go to the bank of the Yamuna and thus become externally purified. This is a part of the gradual process of practicing mystic yoga. But for devotees, actually, they get purified internally. They develop love for Krishna. So powerful, bathing in Yamuna. प्राणायामेन त्रिव्रतात् प्राणेन्द्रियमनोमलं शनैर्व्युदस्याभिध्यायेन् मनसा गुरुणा गुरुम्. After sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises, pranayama, and then gradually control the life air, mind, and senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination, and with great patience, begin to meditate on the Supreme Person of Godhead. So this is applicable for us also, meaning we should also have our mind and senses controlled. We should also free ourselves from material contamination, and we should also, with great patience, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In this verse, the entire yoga system is described in summary, and special stress is given to the breathing exercises for stopping the disturbing mind. The mind by nature is always oscillating, for it is very fickle, but the breathing exercise is meant to control it. So just by doing pranayama, actually mechanical process of mind control is possible. This process of controlling the mind might have been very possible in those days, millions of years ago when Dhruva Maharaj took to it. But the present moment, the mind has to be fixed directly on the lotus feet of the Lord by the chanting process. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one immediately concentrates on the sound vibration and thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord, and very quickly one is elevated to the position of samadhi or trance. Now, of course, here Prabhupada is saying one thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord, but this thinking has to be natural. And because the mind can concentrate on only one activity. So here we are concentrating on the sound vibration. So we can't do the thinking when we are concentrating on the sound vibration. So when we concentrate on the sound vibration, automatically thinking of the Lord has to happen. And when it happens, that means that we are elevated. We are in elevated state. Now we don't concentrate on the sound vibration. We are there for a moment, then we are not there because our mind has gone on to something material. So this is nama parada. So when you concentrate our mind on the nama, at least an auspicious state as put by His Grace Vidwan Gaurang Prabhu is to think about preaching and other activities connected to Krishna consciousness is auspicious. Mm, It's, I mean, it's higher stage than Namaparada. And of course, the highest stage is to just completely concentrate on the sound vibration and resulting in an everything form, lila, everything getting revealed. That is the perfection of chanting. If one goes on chanting the holy names of the Lord, which are not different from the Supreme Person of Godhead. Naturally, his mind becomes absorbed in the thought of the Lord. See, look at this. This is the key. If one goes on chanting, naturally his mind becomes absorbed. So we don't have to do anything else. We have to simply follow this process. Chant here, chant here, chant here. And we have to continue this process. And naturally mind becomes absorbed. First, naturally mind becomes controlled. But more importantly, it becomes absorbed in the thought of the Lord. It is here recommended to Dhruva Maharaj that he meditate on the Supreme Guru or Supreme Spiritual Master. The Supreme Spiritual Master is Krishna, who is therefore known as Chaitya Guru. This refers to the Super Soul who is sitting in everyone's heart. He helps from within, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and he sends the Spiritual Master, who helps from without, meaning from outside. The Spiritual Master is the external manifestation of the Chaitya Guru, or the Spiritual Master sitting in everyone's heart. Obviously, helps means one has to take help. One has to seek the help, and help means following instructions. One has to follow the instructions of the Guru. The process by which we give up our thoughts of material things is called pratyahara. Pratyahara. Giving up thoughts of material things. So in the Ashtanga Yoga process, it's called pratyahara, which entails being freed from all material thoughts and engagements. Not just material thoughts, and also material engagements. The word abhidhyayet, which is used in this verse, indicates that unless one's mind is fixed, one cannot meditate. The conclusion, therefore, is that meditation means thinking of the Lord within, whether one comes to the stage by Ashtanga Yoga or by the method recommended in the Shastras, especially for this present age, which is the constantly chant the holy name of the Lord. The goal is to meditate on the Supreme Person of Godhead. So constantly chant the holy name of the Lord. If we are actually making this a habit, then our mind cannot go here and there. Because we are saying, okay, whenever I'm free, I'm chanting. And when I'm not free, what I'm doing other activities of devotional service. And when I have nothing else, not specific service to do, then I'm chanting or reading about Krishna, so that mind cannot go here and there. And as we do the reading, hearing about Krishna and then chanting, then when we are chanting, automatically whatever we heard has to naturally come into our mind. This is expected naturally. So suppose say today we are reading about Krishna's birth and then we are chanting. In our chanting, that same whatever we heard should come naturally. Oh, today I heard about Krishna's birth. So it has to come. Prasadabhimukham shashvat prasanna kshanam sunasam subhruvam charu apolam sura sundaram. Okay, let me stop here. Okay, because this few verses describes a beautiful form of the Lord. So we'll go through it tomorrow, Krishna willing. Yeah, so I'll stop here. Yeah, any questions, comments? Okay, since we have 5 minutes, yeah. Yes,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
yeah.
Prabhuji, like we all know that taking a dip in the Ganges and Jamuna is very purifying. But many a times when we go with somebody, or like, the sewage is just right there, it's into it. And then, you want to go across and you have the debris on there. So many devotees do not want to take a dip in this thing. So what should it be, Prabhu? Like, should you take a dip or you should not?
Yeah, we should. It's offensive to see. It's just like it's offensive to see material disabilities on the body of a Vaishnava. It's similarly an offense to see these things in holy Ganges or Yamuna because they're transcendental. We are just contaminated, so we see that. Why don't we see the purity in the waters?
Because the pieces are all up, you have.
It's fine. It's fine. You can just move it aside and dip. Right? See, this is the whole thing, right? See, spiritual consciousness means we are not doing this sentimentally. We are not doing this as a sentimental process. Shastra is saying repeatedly. I mean, the water has come, touched the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, right? And if you bathe in Yamuna, Ganga purifies, Yamuna gives Krishna prema. So there isn't anything, you know, more of a benediction for a devotee than doing this. Now, of course, see, which is why we don't normally, Yamuna, definitely we will not take non-devotees and make them, take a bath in Yamuna. For them, Ganga is better. And Ganga, yeah, we can make sure that we choose a place which is maybe better maintained if you are taking outside people. But for devotees, our vision should be completely transcendental. I mean, we cannot be seeing these filthy things. That is the reason why we cannot go to Vrindavan. Because if you go to Vrindavan, we see open drainage, we see smelling garbage here, like poorly dressed people, torn clothes, not taken bath. These things we see because it's the kachada in our heart. It's the anarthas in our heart that we are so unfortunate that we cannot see the real Vrindavan, which is Chintamani, Prakara Sadmasu Kalpa Vriksha, right? Which is full of desire trees, which is actually the whole of Vrindavan is made of jewels. What do we see? So it's just our fallen state, and these are actually giving us opportunities to actually purify ourselves. Um, so yeah, and that is one. That is one thing. The second thing also, we don't enter these waters for port, at least in our level of contamination, right? That can be done by pure devotees who can enter and sport in the Ganga. For us, it has to be a prayerful mood, a dip for purification, saying that let me heart become clean so that Govinda Vishram, let Lord come and reside in my heart. So, and whatever is there doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Not be seeing it. And for outside people, we have to be careful and take care of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, 2-3 minutes are there. Somebody can share some key takeaways from today's discussion, if there are any. I think we should do this practice of key takeaways. Otherwise, we'll be just present at the moment, hearing, and then at the end of the session, what happened? GOK or KOK. What is KOK? Krishna only knows. Anybody? Anybody remembers anything?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Renu Iga. Oh, Trenu Iga. Metro station. Okay. Shashank Prabhu is on the metro. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'll add in chat, Prabhu. Yeah. And then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Any takeaways?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
that which caught my this thing is chanting 20, like it's not just 16 rounds. With whatever you do, you should be constantly be
constantly.
Chinta mein rehna chahiye, Bhagavan. Like you should be thinking about the Lord. Chant
Yeah.
his name 24
Yeah,
hours.
yeah, chant actually for
Chant.
us. Yeah, for
It
us
is
at this
chant,
stage,
chant, chant.
chant. Yeah. Then Chintan will come.
Okay.
Thinking of the Lord naturally has to come. So, two things which are important is reading like Krishna's pastimes have to be going on in our head all the time, right? So, I told this, my father actually achieved that stage, before leaving his body, which was so remarkable in such a short time, in less than 5 years. Because he just simply followed Prabhupada's instructions, which was to read Krishna book every day, and he used to read Krishna book every day. And at the time of his giving up his body, he was so terrible. His bodily condition was so terrible, but still he was remembering Krishna's pastimes. So that it should be like that. Whatever be our material state, pastimes have to keep going on in our head. And pastime doesn't have to be like too much in detail. It's like a simple, okay, Krishna killed Trinavarta, Krishna killed Putana. She came to, kill him by feeding him breast milk, and he just sucked her life air and just killed. That's all, right? Like Krishna is there. That Krishna has to be there. We don't have to think that, okay, I have to be like some big Pandit and learn some verses and, quote something from our Acharya. No, nothing. Just remember, simple. Keep it simple, right? We are dumb. You can just simply remember Krishna in the simplest way possible, in connection with his devotees, in connection with his pastimes. And that should happen on one end. Other end, we have to keep chanting because the name is the entry. Name is the entry point. Mm. Who was saying? I don't know whether it's Sarvabhaum Prabhu or Radhesham Prabhu. I don't know. One of the visiting uh, Vaishnavas. He said that somehow we don't know, we can't understand how everything seems to be inside the Nama. We don't understand how everything is inside the Nama, and everything will come out of the Nama. It's so, yeah, we can't understand that. But we have to just trust that is the process, and Krishna's name is not different from Krishna. So chant. Everything has to happen. So we have to do chanting, we have to do reading, we have to hear if at all we are hearing, then our services, and then any additional time has to be used for chanting, right? Of course, some preachers use their additional time for reading, but others who are maybe not actively preaching can, or even, let me put it this way, a little bit aged, etc., can don't have to necessarily read, but something, whatever it is to be first completely Krishna conscious. Second is to make it a habit that if you are not doing anything, Nama is constantly coming from our mouth. That is the point, right? If you are, you see, because if you are, say, like for example, now, okay, Shashank Prabhu is on metro, but he's hearing. But if suppose say you're on metro and you can't hear, then you can just chant Krishna's name. So Shashank Prabhu said, always perform service like Narada wherever he is. Okay, very nice. Preaching of lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Okay, always engage our thoughts in thinking of Krishna. Okay, those are the two ways by which perform service always. Okay, B, goal of a devotee is chant always, because by doing that he will be completely absorbed. Oh, fine, nice. Okay, okay. Anything else? Please make it a point to make note of one or two items at least. I don't know how many of you have a notebook in front of you, or at least your mobile is there. Open a notepad or whatever, some notes, and every day as you are hearing, even if there is one point which appeals to you. I'm sure that we are reading so many wonderful statements from Prabhupada that there ought to be some life-changing statements, which I call gems, GEMS, gems. Right. So please make note of them. Make note of them. That is our notes. This is the whole idea why we are doing these sessions in the morning, is for us to get that key takeaways. So if there aren't key takeaways at the end of a 40-minute reading session, that wouldn't be fair to Prabhupada, because every line seems to be important, but at least, yeah, some are more important than others. Okay, so we'll end here. Bhagavatam ki jai. Yeah, Shruti Mataji, Vamshi Prabhu. I have to say Shruti / Vamshi because it's always a surprise. Who is going to speak?
Yes, Prabhu, it's me, Shruti, today.
Hmm. Yeah, tell me.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you said that Narada will visit hellish planets also. This was
Yeah,
very new to me, and I didn't know, Prabhu. Does he go there and also preach?
yeah, he goes
Or
everywhere and preaches. Everywhere and preaches.
and souls there will they
Yeah,
uh,
they'll get delivered.
accept? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the fortunate ones,
Oh,
not the foolish demons, they will not, but there'll be some who would have by mistake done some sinful activity and suffering, and more relatively more pious souls, they will accept, which is true everywhere, right? Even here, when we are preaching, it's the slightly more pious souls who come to Krishna. Mm. Then
right,
there are
Prabhu.
others who seem to be pious because they're going to temple, but they're actually not pious. They're just religiously pious, but not pious enough to come to Krishna. Yeah. Shashank Prabhu's put, see, devotee should not hanker for material desires. See, yeah. See, that is why these are the key takeaways. Takeaways is one of the most important thing that struck me when I read this first. That just devotee just depends on Krishna and is not disappointed if in the satisfaction of his senses. Meaning, okay, this food has to be like this only. My clothes have to be like this only. I have to be, whatever, right? All over. Oh, by the way, I had one. I had something to share yesterday, and a lot of devotees sent me this going beyond comfort zone business. Now, one thing I was thinking, which might be very powerful, which I think I did that partially in my life. So, suppose say somebody likes money, for example, or somebody likes jewels, for example, right? Ornaments or whatever. Put a rule on yourself saying that if you buy something for yourself, equal quantity at least should be bought for Krishna. For example, you went and spent 5,000 rupees for something for yourself. Put 5,000 rupees aside for Krishna. Donate it. Actually, this is a very, very powerful process. Automatically, one is, if you are okay, if you have enough and you can do this and that, very nice. But if you cannot do both, then slowly, steadily, your material desire will go off. So that's a very powerful process to actually overcome anarthas, because I see some devotees still very attached materially. If you're attached materially, no problem. Just start following this process. And maybe in 3 to 6 months, your material attachments will go. I had material attachment for spending money when I came to Krishna consciousness. And the beauty was I just started spending money left, right, and center on Krishna. Right, I used to buy books, paraphernalia, clothes, then offer services to temple, etc., etc. And over a period of time, that my desire to spend went off. It's so powerful. So somehow dovetail. This is dovetailing business. And okay, we cannot directly dovetail. Okay, we're not buying jewelry and offering to Krishna. No problem. I'm buying jewelry for myself. I bought an iPhone worth 1 lakh rupees. I'll give 1 lakh rupees to Krishna. Just think about it. It's a very, very powerful process. One, if you, like I said, if you anyway have access and you're doing this, great. Krishna service, you're spending your money and getting purified. You're spending your money for Krishna. Uh, and yeah, you can't do 1 lakh here and 1 lakh there. Then maybe you'll, if you are really serious about spiritual progress, then you will say maybe I'll do 50-50. I'll do 50,000 here and I'll do 50,000 for Krishna. So something, and then I mean, we have to see our material attachments come down. Otherwise, we are definitely doing something wrong. Of course, I mean, our conditioning might be very, very deep and over millions of lifetimes. So, some might be more deeper than others. For example, some people have craze for electronic stuff, but not attached to anything else. It could be like this, right? But which is why. So if somebody is stuck with buying gadgets, okay, just equivalent amount give it to Krishna. That's good enough. I think it'll be a very powerful process. Because I said actually you can you whatever your anarthas are, you create a project to overcome. So this is Anartha. You create a project to overcome, which is by donating that much money to Krishna. Okay, so I'm expecting to see a lot more collections from next month.
Prabhuji, can I share something, please?
Yeah, you can share, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I forget the name of the Mataji. She used to buy, she was very fond of saris. Then when she joined Krishna consciousness, and when Guru Maharaj used to keep coming, you know, what she did, suppose she was buying X amount of saris in a year. She said, Sumantra, now what I do, I've cut it down to half.
Very nice.
And the other half, she kept aside as donation for Guru Maharaj, adding whatever she wanted to give.
Very nice.
So this was, you know, now when you're talking and it just reflected back. So this is also a very nice way of, you know, getting a little detached from your material. Thing.
That's why I said I'm looking forward that my monthly collection will increase. We are already in 26th.
And another, while talking, I had another realization, Prabhu. Like when he spoke about Narada Muni. Prabhu, like Narada Muni was respected both by demons and by the demigods alike. He could visit anywhere and everywhere.
Correct.
And even when the demon Hiranyakashipu's wife was abducted, Indra, he stands against Krishna in an every lila, Kon Supreme God, why this, that. But not once did Indra question Narada Muni, how do you know that there is a devotee in the womb of Kulsida? Like it's, you know, like he's respected so much. And he had like the kings were his disciple, the Lord himself, you know, as was his disciple. We are doing Dhruva Maharaj, the hunter, everybody from all spheres of life, irrespective of caste, creed, and creed, like he had, and he changed their lives. So amazing. I mean, it was just like when he was talking, you know, like I just realized this. So I thought I'll share it.
Thank you, Mata.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanta Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayavya Patitanam Bhavane Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.